Have you ever told a big lie in your life?
I can only think of two.
Okay.
The first is that I had people at my house after semi-formal which is a dance in my high school. I told my mom that we weren't going to drink, and we all, of course, drank. And I kept the secret for a really long time, and it did really well, and nobody knew, and I was very clean and polite about it and didn't make a mess, and nobody got sick, and nobody got hurt. And then one day my mom found like a bottle cap left over like from a long time ago on the counter, and I was foiled, so I didn't really get to be the one to come clean there. And then the other thing is, this is even worse. This is like maybe the worst thing I've ever done.
Okay.
I was at camp, and I'd say 11 or 12, and when the new Harry Potter book came out while I was at camp. And so everybody was getting their Harry Potters delivered to camp in the middle of the session. And
Telegram for Ben Platt, your Harry Potter's here. Yeah.
And mine never came, and I was really upset because everyone was reading it and talking about it, and like I was learning about like things I didn't want to hear about yet without reading it myself. So I stole another camper's copy of the book and wrote my name in it.
Do you remember who that camper was?
Another camper named Ben, and I don't remember his last name, but
made
his
it
name
easier
was,
though.
Exactly, it did, and I got away with it. And
this
I got
book
to
belongs
keep it.
to Ben,
and I read it, and no one ever knew until maybe right now. So yes, I have told lies. Never in my
and lived with the consequences.
No matter how sort of inconsequential that may be now, I still remember very well what that felt like and the guilt of that, and you know, I still feel rather guilty.
Did you see that same Ben like every summer? Or was that your last summer at that camp, so you never had to see him
he was
again?
always there.
Did you ever tell him?
I did not. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll reach out on Facebook.
Yeah, just because he's still like, he never read it. He still walks around like...
What happened in the fifth Harry Potter?
And also like Harry Potter's everywhere right now, so it's a constant like kind of sting for him. Like, don't say Harry Potter! And he doesn't even know why. He can't remember.
His book just evaporated.
That's really sad. Moving on. But good for you.
Thanks for giving me a platform to come clean.
Totally. That's what we do here. So I just want to segue for a minute because I recently watched just the trailer for Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk and was sobbing. But you worked with Ang Lee on that film. You've worked with Meryl Streep, the great director Meryl Streep. The great director Selma Hayek and Alec Baldwin co-directing. They're like the Coen brothers.
Truly,
they are the Coen brothers.
They're like the more attractive Coen brothers, but the Coen brothers are cute.
What can you tell me about Mr. Lee?
It was an incredible experience, unlike anything I've very much out of my element as far as previous experience. It was the first film I did that had absolutely nothing to do with music and nothing to do with comedy, and it was just a really sort of real-life depiction. It wasn't necessarily a terribly dramatic role for me. I play sort of a plot device rather, and
you play Josh.
I play Josh, and I'm a PR rep that's in charge of taking this troop of boys around for the day that they're spending at this football game on Thanksgiving in Dallas, who are my age but have been through
a whole other
experience. And meanwhile I'm in a suit in this cushy job in Dallas. But I mean, he's definitely an incredibly visual artist and sees everything from such a far away place. And yet, if there is any questions that I have about character or things that feel very small and minuscule and sort of more along the human lines of things, his answers are incredibly succinct and incredibly effective, and just as tapped in with that as he is with what he's being more verbal about, because that's his medium is the way that it looks. And we've got this new technology going in this film that I'm not going to be able to describe because I'm not smart enough, but it's this brand new sort of frames per minute thing where it's like sort of the most fine filmmaking, like in terms of literally fine, that you can see sort of every detail. We weren't allowed to wear any kind of makeup because it's like incredibly clear and high definition. It's also in 3D.
Did you sneak makeup?
Not at all. And I'm incredibly broken out on the first day of filming. And it all takes place in one day.
Oh my God.
So when you first meet
then
me,
they had to like paint zits on you? Like, wait.
Nope. My skin just gets progressively better throughout the day.
See, it's a metaphor
for healing.
As he heals, so does
my skin.
Proactive.
I probably the time that I felt the most part of something way huger than myself. I mean, Pitch Perfect obviously has become something quite large, but as far as feeling part of a much larger statement, artistic statement, I'd never felt that before, and that was really cool.
Why do you think Pitch Perfect?
Like, what about it caught fire?
Can you explain?
I think so. I mean, I think it's was the timing, and it's this generation that grew up on High School Musical and sort of are interested in bringing musicals in some way back into the mainstream and like enjoying music being a part of their entertainment, but it has this sort of snarkiness and sharpness and edginess and funny voice of Kay Cannon at the same time, which makes it sort of cool enough and sort of more universally enjoyable for people that maybe their way in is not the music. It includes a demographic that otherwise maybe wouldn't be included in this sort of musicals like world, and so I think it's
when
that
you went
synergy.
back for the second one, first of all, did everyone have a bigger trailer, and were there like double the amount of carrot sticks available?
Yes, like way more carrot sticks. There was like 3 microwaves, like
per person.
But yes, no, definitely in all of the superficial, like sort of literal ways, much bigger film, bigger budget. Everyone's getting paid more. Everyone's got a little bit of a nicer setup. The film crew is larger. The cameras are nicer. There's more makeup. There's more wardrobe. So definitely like a bigger deal. And also we all felt a bigger responsibility now because we wanted to deliver other these characters that now everybody loves and wants to hear from. And the first time it was just this sort of fun thing we were creating and finding. And so now it's like, well, people expect to love these people again. And so we want to deliver that for them. So that plus how much bigger the movie was kind of met in a nice way, which I think is dangerous for sequels because sometimes that doesn't necessarily translate when you've got something sort of small and warm, and then you try to create more from it. But I think they did a good job of keeping the essence of the first one alive and making it feel like the same sort of material, and yet a much cleaner, prettier studio film.
Speaking of musicals, you did Ricky and the Flash with Meryl Streep.
Yes, indeed.
Who I can't imagine you hadn't heard of before you
No, it's actually my first time.
And you are?
Tell
me your name one more time.
I recognized her from Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia. What is her on-set demeanor?
I was very afraid to meet and work with her because she is our hero, our collective hero.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the business or around the business or who's even dabbled in acting that doesn't consider her somewhat of a hero.
Right.
And you never want to meet your heroes because you're like, well, they're just going to be mean and ask for coffee or something.
Right. I was worried about that today with you.
Oh, but it's almost like now I know why she's a legend because she is every bit the human that she is the talent. She's kind and giving and generous and wants to impart wisdom and wants to bring the best out of people. And at the same time, everyone's on set with Meryl Streep, so they're like, I need to be doing my best work at all times. You don't come to work and see Meryl Streep and think like, I'm going to do okay today. Like, I'm going to like try.
I know most of my lines.
But I think I was the most interested to try to watch anything I could and gather anything I could from her. And I was wondering, is this a Daniel Day-Lewis situation where she's completely in character off camera? And does she stay? And does she make me call her Ricky all the time? Will she be in wardrobe? And it's somewhere beautifully in the middle where she can be completely herself and doesn't sort of pretend to be any like other person than herself when she's not on camera, and yet will stay in whatever the sort of vibe of the day is or of the scene or the essence of her character, and like keep sort of Ricky is this like sort of subdued, cool rocker chick, so she was always very sort of smooth and laid back and with her feet up and like just little things that kept her in the world and yet able to go in and out of being Meryl, the character. And I think that that's something I'll try to take with me and that I won't forget is just how valuable that is. Because coming from theater, I love that you get to just do the whole story in a row and stay in this world and then go home and be you and then come back and do the same. And film is so sort of give and take and sort of stop and start. And like you can be working on 9 hours and you work for 2 of those hours. And so something so helpful is just kind of maintaining that vibe all day long. And
so in a part like Evan Hansen, which demands so much of you physically and emotionally, I mean, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, Ben really physically embodies this person who has so much angst and the electricity that runs through his body in order to kind of handle all the angst manifests itself in a lot of physical twitches and tics. How do you come down? Are you someone who's able to turn it off when after the curtain call?
Over time, it has become easier to transition out. I think at the beginning, when I was first starting to do the show 8 times a week and living in this emotional place all the time, it took me a while to come back down as far as I wouldn't necessarily be in a dark, depressed place because the show does end on a somewhat uplifting note, but just emotionally spent and not really able to function as a person afterwards just because I wanted to go home and sit in bed by myself and just kind of let it fall off of me. But as time has gone on and I've really learned what my show is and what my night is and how to pace myself and how to live the journey and then move forward, it's become easier and easier. And because I'm just so happy to be having this experience, and this is like every bit of my dream all coming true at the same time. I wanted to learn how to get back to me quickly because I want to be able to, for me, Ben the human, enjoy what's going on and hear the love people are giving me afterwards and receive it and not let this whole experience pass me by, because I do want to make sure I'm always working really hard and taking full advantage. And this obviously particular role requires a lot of me. It's not worth it if you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor and take in the experience as me, the person. So I just have been trying to make a point of doing my work and throwing myself in it, but then letting myself off the hook afterwards and being like, you just be you enjoy what just happened, and you take it all in. And because I'm bad at that, I live very much in my head, and I'm always sort of my biggest critic, and I'm like, my voice was at an 85 today and I didn't, and you know, like my mother always says to me, like, your 85 is at another person's 100, Benjamin. And I'm like, okay,
well, she's right. There are so many incredible songs in the show. There's a song called Waving Through a Window. Do you mind just singing a little bit of it so that I can cry in the studio?
Sure.
All right.
I'll give you a little chorus.
Okay.
On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass. I'm waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window. Oh, can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me?
I love you so much. Thank you for doing that. And thank you
pleasure.
for being here, Ben Platt.
Thanks
you
for
are
having me, Alana Levine.
magnificent.
And as are you.
See you soon.
Love you.
Clouds can make the wind blow, bugs can make the grass grow. So, there you go. These are little known facts that now you know.
Hey, I'm Alana Levine. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to rate and review our show in the iTunes show page.